litigation update Tuesday.
I call the Moore County School Board regular meeting for today, August 13th, to order. Is there a motion for closed session?
I move the board enter closed session to discuss confidential personnel matters and to consult with the board attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A, 1, A3, A5, and A6, including a discussion of North Carolina School Boards Association versus Moore in Wake County Superior Court number 98-CVS-14158, and Birdie versus Cowell, Wake County Superior Court number 15-CVS-13881.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll be back in 30 minutes at 6:30. I call the Moore County School Board meeting back to order again. I would like to recognize Louis Gregory, one of our county commissioners who's in the audience. Thank you for being here today. Are there any other elected officials? Making sure I can see everyone. Thank you for coming. It is nice to see you all here, especially as we're 2 weeks out from school starting. So it's a very exciting time. Lots of energy in the air, lots of new faces that will be coming to us, and we know our students are ready to go. We know parents are ready for the students to go back pretty soon. All right, so I'd like a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. William Miller, a rising sixth grader from West Pine Middle.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Smiling. I know what you were doing. Seeing you, buddy.
Well,
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will. All right, if we could have a moment of silence. In the past month, we've lost 2 of our students, so I'd like us to think about Cooper Ellington, who graduated from Union Pines in June, and then also over the weekend, Justin Mayness, who was a rising Northmore student. Thank you. Keep their families in your thoughts, please. All right, Dr. Grimacy.
Madam Chairman, I'll defer to the Curriculum and Instruction team for our program highlight this evening. Ms. Johnson and friends.
I brought friends.
Good looking group.
My friends. Yep, you just stay right there. So, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board and Dr. Grimacy. We are very excited to be with you tonight to share with you highlights from our 2018 Summer Curriculum Workshop. This is the 3rd year that we've been able to bring teachers together for summer curriculum, and I feel like every year, from what I'm gathering, because I have been on the outskirts, but this year was very much in the inside. We've been perfecting what we've been doing and really making it stronger with each year that we've been able to do the summer curriculum work. So the basic information is there were over 100 teachers this year, which is a record number for us, pre-K through 12th grade. They created a lot of great tools for their peers to use for grade level planning, for unit design. And we had 2 separate weeks. We did a week in June that was focused primarily on elementary, and a week in July that was focused primarily on secondary, although we had some crossover in both weeks. We held it again at Carthage Elementary. We can't thank Carthage enough. That's the 3rd year that we've been able to do that there, and they've been gracious hosts. So the gist is that we're using our own district expertise to build the materials that our teachers will use for years to come. So great feedback. We did a post-survey with our teachers. I'm not going to read all those quotes to you, but 100% of the teachers felt like they agreed or strongly agreed that they were happy with what they had created in the end, that they felt like their time was well spent, and that their ideas were valued. And so that's really important to us when you have 100 people, that 100% of them agreed or strongly agreed that this was time well spent and that they were able to do what they felt like needed to be done to help teachers across the district. So as you may remember, we have new standards this year in K-8 math and in K-12 English language arts. So both of those coming down at the same time means that we have to update all of our pacing, all of our standards documents, and all of our assessments. So that was the crux of a lot of our work, was not redoing whole new things, but instead taking the work that we know has worked in the past years and updating it with the new standards and with bigger and better lesson plans to go inside of those. We also had some work done. You'll remember we have a Discovery Education tech book in middle school. So we integrated those into our pacing more than it already had been. We had links to DE put into the pacing so that teachers can naturally see where that fits. We had that happen in health and PE with DE streaming, so pulling up videos and lesson plans that fit. And this is also a great time with all these teachers together to pull in some community resources. So we pulled in a representative from First Tee, and they were able to come and meet with our PE teachers that were there and talk with them about how can we make First Tee more accessible to students, what's working, what's not working, how can we make this a great program so that all students can be a part of it. Our AIG, they worked on building enrichment lessons so that when teachers say, I don't know what to do with this student who's advanced, they worked on lessons that fit what the teacher was doing but were the next step. So some enhancement and some enrichment things for kids that needed that extra boost. Our K-2, obviously, with new standards, we need new report cards. So that was a big task that we had to go through. And then also world languages, we'll talk about that in a minute, but they, particularly the French teachers, found a gold mine online, and they redid a lot of their work, and we're very excited. I wanted to touch on the K-8 entrepreneurial and economics thread and the K-8 engineering thread. You'll remember that those have been lesson plans that have been woven through our pacing, and we are making those bigger and better. So using teacher feedback, we've been able to go back through the lessons that are in there and take out the ones that teachers said didn't work and add ones that we think will be bigger and better. So not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but instead taking the work of what our diffs and some of our social studies team has done and just enhancing it for teacher use. So we put these pictures in here because a lot of what you'll see when you come to summer curriculum is two teachers working together. A lot of times it's two sixth grade teachers, and most of the time they're not from the same school, and so they have different perspectives coming together to build these resources. And then you'll see two sixth grade and two seventh grade and two eighth grade, and they'll start to have these vertical conversations of things that are happening across the district, and it really becomes kind of magical to see all of their expertise woven together. Yet another project, this is a new one that we did this year, was the second grade integration unit. So we took 3 second grade teachers, one who was strong in social studies, one strong in science, and one strong in English language arts. We asked them to sit together and blend those 3 into some unit design. So what would it look like if we did weather, let's say, in social studies? Well, social studies has a lot of map skills. The science concept is weather. What are some English language arts resources that we could do to build that together? So some really strong unit design in second grade, and we're going to have those 3 teachers pilot that throughout the year to see what does that look like, how does it work, and if it works really well, we'll build more units like that are really cross-curricular in nature, because we feel like that makes sense instead of teaching in these succinct silos, that kids learn best when it's all integrated together. Another really neat project we had this year was that we had a Title IV block grant, which is a new pocket of money that we were able to apply for and get awarded through Amanda Dixon's office. And so we hired a good number of high school teachers this year to investigate open education resources, or OERs. OERs are free resources that are online that are meant for educators. Could be a textbook that's online. It could be a resource that an institution has put online for teachers. And so we worked with DPI. We had a consultant here for 2 days who worked with our teachers and with us, and she was an expert really on OERs. What's quality, what's not quality. She gave the teachers rubrics so that they could evaluate and they could really assess quality OERs from not quality. And with that, we were able to find a lot of resources that we were then able to embed in our pacing. which in the end is going to save us some money because we were able to find things that the teacher said, this is really valuable and I could use this without having to go out and buy something as a curriculum resource. So we're excited about that work, and we're going to continue that work with DPI and with Donna Murray, the consultant who works with them. And then the last thing I'll say before I turn it to these lovely ladies behind me is that we had a very enthusiastic team of kindergarten teachers come together to work on how do we embed standards-based purposeful play in our kindergarten lessons. We had in some ways gotten away from that, and we wanted our pacing guides to reflect that we believe that kindergartners learn when they're engaged in play, purposeful play. And so the teachers, they came together along with some administrators. We had some pre-K teachers, we had some first grade teachers that worked on this. And they took the strands of literacy and they embedded play right into where the standards go. And I'm going to let them talk a little bit more about that. But in true kindergarten fashion, I said, who wants to be the brave soul to talk to the board? And they all showed up. I'm going to turn it to Karina Cameron, who's going to speak on their behalf. And then I'm going to let you hear a high school perspective.
Hi.
I recently had the extreme honor to work with these ladies, and we were invited by Ms. Johnson to meet and build a position statement detailing the immense benefits of bringing purposeful play back into kindergarten classrooms. We began our process by reading the relevant research and the positive benefits of purposeful play for young children. Some of the many research positions we condensed and summarized the key details and related the importance of socialization and building relationships in kindergarten students to formulate our statement. With this statement as our focus, we began to unpack and analyze the North Carolina Standard Course of Study standards, including the revised math and ELA standards and the Moore County Schools Pacing Guide. As a team, we brainstormed and planned and created lessons that promoted purposeful play while teaching the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. The more work we accomplished, the more enthusiastic and excited each of our team members became. We cannot wait to see the students actively engaged in their learning the standards through the purposeful play. It will be extremely rewarding to observe the students learning all that is needed and to be learned during their kindergarten year while enjoying, experiencing, interacting, communicating, and yes, playing purposefully, as it always has been best developmentally and socially for the 5-year-olds. Thank you, board members and Dr. Grimacy, for the ultimate professional development opportunity. You are to be commended for allowing us to do what is best for our students.
Thank you, Karina. And so we'll let the other ladies introduce themselves in a second. But I'm going to let Ms. Cora Prude. She's here from the high school perspective. And she was brave enough to do 2 weeks of summer curriculum work. She came both times.
I did.
Yes.
That's actually in here. Spoiler alert,
Oh,
I
sorry
guess. Good evening. My name is Cora Prude. I teach 10th and 11th grade English at Union Pines High School. This will be my 8th school year teaching and my 7th year with Moore County. I've spent the last 2 years as the school improvement team chairperson at Union Pines. I mention this only because this particular responsibility drew a large part of my time and attention away from being able to work on what and how I teach. Luckily, in May, I was able to pass that privilege on, and I jumped at the chance to get back to English stuff by participating in the summer curriculum work during both the June and July sessions. On a personal note, I graduated from a high school of 150 students in 7th grade through 12th grade. My first teaching job was at a high school of more than 3,000 students in 9th grade through 12th grade. At the risk of sounding like Goldilocks, I have to say that Union Pines is just the perfect size. That being said, it's still really easy to get too devoted to my classroom and my campus, and I lose touch with what my colleagues at the other 2 high schools are doing. Overall, I consider myself a highly inept educator, and I know I benefit greatly from counsel, conversation, guidance, and fellowship with people who actually know what they're doing in a classroom. I feel that the few days spent working at Carthage Elementary this summer granted me this opportunity. Specifically, the idea of quality over quantity was stressed as we gathered these OERs. This is noteworthy because in this present teaching environment where technology devices, platforms, recommendations, and non-negotiables are being updated and changed constantly, It's extremely comforting and motivating to know that this district has taken time to pump the brakes and to seek out highly valuable and dependable resources for me to use with my students, as opposed to grabbing at every shiny internet bell and whistle that rolls by. Moreover, I believe that the documents that we created and the resources that we have only started to compile will serve as a solid foundation from which Moore County High School teachers can build not only their curriculum, but a personal style and a strong personal attachment to their assignments and their teaching goals. To sum up, I'm really proud that I was able to be a part of this work this summer, but I am far more grateful that so much information and guidance was offered to me. And I am all but begging for more opportunities for our district's upper-level teachers to learn and collaborate throughout the school year.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. So, ladies, if you'll introduce yourselves, the kindergarten teachers.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm Nikki Bauer. I am a kindergarten teacher at Southern Pines Primary.
Mary Levitt, I teach kindergarten at Southern Pines Primary.
I'm Meg DeMollet, and I teach kindergarten at Pinehurst Elementary. And you may notice that I'm the oldest one in the kindergarten team. And I've seen us play purposefully, and then we saw some of our play leave us. And for those of us who didn't have the research behind it, we just knew that it was such a wonderful opportunity for our kids to learn and communicate and problem solve. And what was so great is that Dr. Bob recognized that too, because he's sort of a child at heart, and really helped us to be able to do this. We also found that when we called our principals, like I sent a little text to my principal while we were there, and it's like, we'd really like to be able to start and bring some things right away to our teachers and go, here they are, you can get started tomorrow. And she's like, okay. I'm like, that's it? And it was totally, that's it. What do you need? Let's get this going. And that was the same way with the county. And Bridget just, stood right by us. Dr. Bob was in there, really, pushing us along to do this. It's going to be great things. Please come into the kindergarten classrooms and play with us. It's really the best time for us to be in there playing. So come see us.
Awesome. So with that, we just want to thank you all for your support of the summer curriculum work. It really is a bottom-up effort for our teachers, and we feel like it's the best way to build our resources is with our own experts right here in the district. So if you have any further questions or comments, we'll be happy to take them.
Madam Chair?
Are there any questions or comments?
A comment. I noticed as you went through that there's a 5th grade financial literacy program. Wonderful, wonderful. They can learn to count pennies early, maybe even a 1/4 cent sales tax penny as they go along. It's a plug for that one. But so glad to see that it's starting early, and that's
Really,
been added.
the bulk of that financial literacy, really, there's a great unit in 2nd grade that we already have established, but we built another unit this summer in 5th grade.
That's one. It took me a while to convince my children that money did not grow on trees. So it's good to start early and let them know this. My other comment is the OERs, the online educational. I can remember nights sitting home with Google as my best friend, searching for that particular short story or resource that would add some validity to what I was trying to teach the next day. Wonderful that y'all are going ahead and had the wherewithal to bring in someone that could help you walk through this and actually come up with the list of the right places to go.
Yeah, and if I could add to that too, I just remember staying up late with Google and trying to integrate science and English and writing, and to have that perfect package that we can never just ever get. So I'm so glad that you are kind of doing that. So that's great. And Meg, if you want me and Bella to come play anytime, just call me. Okay.
The only last thing I'd say is just the excitement and the level of energy that I feel from all of you. I can only imagine that came from everybody that was in those rooms.
Absolutely.
And this was work.
Yes.
I mean, you all were creating what the lesson plans were going to be, or the pacing guides were going to be for each of these grades. And this was work, but it was also professional development. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge proponent of that, because this is how you get inspired and energized and get the information you need, and to be able to then pass that on to all these other teachers in the district, and that energy. So thank you for taking the time and for being enthusiastic ambassadors, for the work that you've done.
Yeah, based on the pictures of some of you, it looked like y'all were having a really good time. We want education to be fun.
They're integrating work into play.
That's it. That's it.
And they were able to go out to lunch with other grown-ups, and that's extraordinary. Madam Chairman, if I might.
Yes, please.
What I'd like to do is lift a statement from my superintendent's report that I would share later in the meeting, but just in case any of these ladies will be needing to leave before then, may I do so?
Please do.
It'll be very quick. I'd like to take a moment to publicly validate the work of all of our teachers that worked in the summer curriculum workshop, and Cora in particular. Thank you for summarizing. Speaking on behalf of your colleagues at the secondary level, I was quite touched by that. But I'd like to particularly validate the work of our kindergarten teachers and our curriculum and instruction staff in the development of the purposeful play curriculum. Moore County schools moved too quickly and went too far in 2012 through 14 when it imposed a more rigid academic framework in kindergarten. That decision was made and the framework was implemented prior to my arrival. And today I'm delighted to endorse, encourage, and support our teachers, principals, and curriculum and instruction staff as we begin to restore purposeful play as a developmentally appropriate framework by which to inspire our kindergartners' creativity and skills with absolutely no compromise to content knowledge. And wish we could do more, but we've taken the first of many steps, and this will be an endeavor that we'll continue to expand and refine on in the coming years. This is a moment that I've long sought for, and we finally got the opportunity. But give it back to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just said the words, they did the work, but ladies, it's indeed my privilege. Thank you.
And I'm
Madam Chair.
excited to see it in action. When you're ready, let us know. Okay. Not the first day of school. Not the first day of school.
Try to keep me away. Just try.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. All right, now we have to go to the consent agenda. It's hard to follow that, isn't it? Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
All right. Motion by Mr. Dennison, second by Dr. Brown. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Well, we got to the superintendent's report in a hurry, didn't we?
We sure did.
That's a big old list that just disappeared. Let me gather myself here if I like. For some reason, I helped come up with the agenda, and I lost track of where I was there for a minute. So that was very touching, and based on my experience in visiting with the summer curriculum workshop, what you heard tonight, these ladies really captured it, and I'm just so proud of our people, just very proud. Well, Madam Chair, members of the board, I have much to report this evening. To begin with, we welcome back many of our teachers this Wednesday through Friday as we conduct our annual More Learning Conference at Union Pines High School. Some of the segments have over 300, as many as 350 teachers. This compares with 4 years ago. Mike, we were looking at dozens in some cases? Mike Metcalf?
Yeah, I think 30.
Yeah, I think there was one segment where we had one half of a day where there was only 30 people. And so I think this is a testimony to the professionalism of our teachers, but also the attentiveness of our curriculum and instruction staff. I'll mention more about that here in a minute. All of our 10-month employees will return next Monday, August 20th, with this year's kickoff assembly scheduled for the Pinecrest Area 3 schools at 1:30 on Monday, August 20th, and Pinecrest High School Auditorium. The Union Pines Area 1 schools at 8:30 Tuesday morning, August 21st, in the Union Pines Gym, and the Northmore Area 2 schools later that same day, 1:30 p.m., Northmore Auditorium. And these have become much anticipated events where we just all come together and celebrate our devotion to children coming back together again with a real positive jumpstart. Our programs for the More Learning Conference, the area-wide kickoff assemblies, and our August 22 and 23 professional development programs, one day with a focus on secondary schools, the next day with a focus on elementary schools, are better than ever. The programs are as outstanding as I've ever seen in any of the districts I've worked with. And this is a testament to that hard work of our district staff and as I indicated earlier, their willingness to work closely with classroom teachers, as you've heard described tonight, principals, and support staff to align the itineraries of these programs with what teachers define as their needs in the classroom. I'm grateful to everyone who has contributed to the planning of these events. And tomorrow morning, I look forward to helping Kevin Griffin and our bus drivers, and then right after that, Janet Lovelady and our child nutrition managers kick off their final planning and preparation push for the school year. And that's another one of those exciting moments that I always look forward to. And that awaits us in the morning. And I know a couple of you are going to be trying to join us for that. Of course, all of our energy is focused on our final preparation for the return of our students on Monday, August 27th. As remains my tradition, I will visit all of the Pinecrest Area 3 schools on the first day of school, all of the Union Pines Area 1 schools on the second day of school, and the Northmore Area 2 schools on the third day of school. A student asked me last year, Dr. Bob, why do you always visit the Northmore schools on the third day of school? It's real simple. There's fewer of them, and by then I'm worn out. So I finish up by lunchtime that day, and I got whatever energy I've got left. They get the best on that. But it's always a treat to get to as many classrooms as I can and in many schools as I can. I conducted my monthly tour of the Area 1 school construction site with John Barath last Thursday, and yet another one that really evokes our emotions. I think that we just can feel so proud of the progress being made. The concrete base to the flooring on the back wing is now completed all the way, so if you go and stand there at the media center and look left and right like I described last week, it's all, you got a concrete floor the whole way, and again, that sense of the size and magnitude of this really grabs you. But John's report was very positive the other day. The amount of quality checks we've had to make have been very low compared to a lot of other projects I've been conveyed with. Very efficient work being done by our contractor. Our architects obviously have done their job, and then John and Roger in their role as our clerk of the works, if you will, have done a very good job of staying on top of things. Very proud of all parties. I want to compliment Tim Locklear, Mike Metcalf, Bridget Johnson, Seth Powers, and the entire Curriculum and Instruction Support Services team, and those principals who worked with them for their organization and facilitation of the Moore County School Leadership Conference that was conducted on July 31st and August 1st and 2nd. Got to be one of the best I've ever participated in. We were all together for district-specific needs on the first day, and then on the second 2 days, we had a consultant, Sean Dempsey from the Flippin Group, that led us through a process called Leadership Blueprint. A very powerful focus on the benefits of positive school culture, on student learning, and on just the sense of ownership of employees and sense of satisfaction of employees. And it was just the right, I don't want to say training, Sean asked us not to use that, but it was the right professional experience at the right time for our team, and the positive response from the participants, I think, gave testimony to that. Next, I'm delighted to officially introduce the newest members of our school leadership team, even though their promotions and their assignments have been appropriately documented in the media. Tonight's our chance to formally welcome them to their new role. So to do that, I'd like to start with Kenna Wilson. Where is Kenna hiding? Come on up here, Kenna. And just stand here while I make a fuss over you, and this is what we do in Moore County. We embarrass people here. But Ms. Wilson assumed her duties as principal of the Community Learning Center at Pinckney on July 1. She comes to Moore County after 22 years of loyal service to Lee County Schools, where she served as a special education teacher, assistant principal, and most recently as the district director of exceptional children's services, and also with the great confidence and regret of her superintendent, who said very nice things about her. She was named Lee County Schools Principal of the Year in 2010 and 11. She has proven abilities to ensure a school culture that encourages continuous improvement utilizing data to address student achievement. But more importantly, she possesses the energy and passion necessary for providing a safe, nurturing learning environment focused on equity, academic success, and a healthy social development of students. Ms. Wilson has a master's degree in school administration from Campbell University and master's and bachelor's degrees in education and special education from the University of Florida. She currently is working on her doctoral degree in educational leadership from East Carolina University. And I'm just glad that she got tired of being in the central office, wanted to be back being a principal closer to children, and here we were at the right time and could match up with her interests. Do you have any family members and colleagues with you tonight?
They're all doing things and events.
Okay, she's bacheloretting it.
Yes, I
tonight.
am, but my husband is Joe, and I have a 19-year-old son, Avery, and a 15-year-old son, John Tyler. So, y'all see me.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating and welcoming Ms. Kenna Wilson as our new principal at Community Learning Center at Pinckney.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Kenna. Appreciate it.
We enjoyed the other night. It was so good to see the.
Next, I would like to invite Ms. Stephanie Phillips to join me here at the podium. She doesn't get embarrassed by anything. Also in July, you approved the promotion of Ms. Stephanie Phillips from assistant principal to principal of Pinecrest High School. I could go on for an hour about this one. I'll try to keep it short. Ms. Phillips has been with Moore County Schools since 2009, serving as science teacher and assistant principal at Pinecrest, then as district specialist for science and healthful living, followed by 2 years as principal at Aberdeen Elementary School before returning to her first love at Pinecrest High School, which she requested. She wanted to get back to Pinecrest to serve as assistant principal for the past 2 years. Little off script, for these past 2 years, she's been at Bob Christina's right hand during some of the most extraordinary flowering that we've seen at Pinecrest High School. It's a great school being made even more great, and Stephanie's been right there in the middle of it. We were reminded of that in the interview process, and we also were reminded by the community that it was a community really desiring somebody with roots, somebody who could really take hold and be with Pinecrest High School for its next great era, and I anticipate that's coming. Prior to coming to Moore County Schools, Ms. Phillips worked for Scotland and Bladen County Schools. She's also the proud mother of a Pinecrest alum and a rising freshman at Pinecrest High School. In addition to bleeding green and gold, she holds both bachelor's and master's degrees in science education and a Master of School Administration degree, all from UNC Pembroke. Do you have any family members or colleagues with you
I
tonight?
have my mom and my dad, and then my son Carson.
Stand up, Carson, and mom and dad, back there in the back. Got the green gold shirt on back there. All right. And you already have started joining me in congratulating and welcoming the new principal of Pinecrest High School.
Congratulations.
And finally, I would like to ask our world-famous finance team to join us. Mr. Bundy, if you'll start here and have the team just line up along the wall here. This is going to take a minute. A lot of people don't know these folks exist.
It's the
This is our equivalent of the Avengers. All superheroes. Time to bring them back out and talk a little bit about what they do. Well, it is my pleasure to acknowledge this group of extraordinary individuals. They have again received all 3 of North Carolina's awards for excellence in school finance and budgeting. It's important for the public to know that Moore County Schools is one of only 8 North Carolina school districts that has earned what I affectionately refer to as the trifecta of state awards in school financial management. They include the Certificates of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. That's not just school people, that's both county government and school boards. Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Association of School Business Officials, and Achievement in Financial Resource Management from the North Carolina State Board of Education, one of only 8 school districts in the entire state. We remain grateful for the expertise and service that this team provides every day that has resulted in this level of recognition. And so what I'd like to do here is, instead of just have you look at them as a group, I'd like to name them by name, tell you what they do, and then everyone, as I do that, we're going to let Jenny be the lead here. I'm going to give Jenny's name and her title, and she's going to step forward and do sort of the queenly wave. I mean, kind of, there's a lot of different ways. Some of you have more practice at this than others. But you don't have to just kind of do that and let everybody know who you are. So first of all, Ms. Jenny Patnode, our Assistant Finance Officer. Just sort of wave. There you go. Right, there you go. Connie McNeil, Accounts Payable Manager. Step forward and wave. Yeah, they're just right there. She can just do it there. And Jenny, you can step back. There you go. Connie, do it again. I don't know if they all saw you. There you go. All right. She's got the homecoming queen experience and the homecoming king. Sammy McNeil's back there. You can go ahead and wave too, Sammy. There you go. All right. We got Sheila Seneth, our finance specialist. There she is. Sheila the shy. Kim Smith, payroll manager.
More of a hey y'all kind
of. Yeah, that's right.
And always there to help us.
And our payroll analysts, Ashley Love, Amy Garner, Marie Mabe, and Martha Cagle. And finally, executive officer for budget and finance, our team leader, Mike Bundy.
Well, that's a good way.
We've seen him a time or two here. And I would like everyone to join me in affording them with our thanks and congratulations for a job well done. And folks, you can do the same thing.
Thank you for making us look so
Thanks
good.
for all you do.
Beautiful dress.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Hey, ladies, let's get a picture.
Always. It's a good way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Organize this.
Thank you very much.
No, you're not.
Thank you very
No, you're not.
Thank you
Since
for making
you ate the food, you got to get your
Thank you
picture.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for doing all the good job that you do.
Want us in the picture?
Nope.
Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman. Madam Chair, that concludes the superintendent's report. I remain at your service.
Thank you, Dr. Grimisi, and really the top 8 in the state.
Yes, ma'am.
That is quite an achievement out of 115 lead education agencies. So that is something we should be proud of. And we don't get to see that staff all the time, so it was nice to see them up front. All right.
With your permission,
Yes, please.
I will now invite Mr. Brath to come forward with our...
Wait. Let me just make note.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
There are no people signed up for public address to the board tonight. So I know Mr. Brath is so excited, he just can't wait. So nobody's standing in your way.
You're next on the agenda.
Thank you. Good evening. You have been provided with an executive summary. That's rather lengthy, and I'm not going to read it. Y'all are welcome.
But you did present it during the work session.
And during the work session last week, we went through great detail about everything that was contained in there. And in the PowerPoint presentation, Blair, if you just bring that up as a reference. And I'm going to skip to the end because that's the good part. So you remember all this.
For members of the audience that would like to see John's 40-minute presentation, it is online. You can click on it anytime you like.
And so, in general, as we talked at length about last week, we have the projects come in. within budget. However, it required a lion's share of our contingency to award. We worked with the apparent low bidder to take a look at opportunities to value engineer some items out, maintaining equity amongst all the elementary schools that we'll be doing, so none are getting something that another will not get. And as a result of that process, we're able to get it all down within a recommended budget level. And that's the bottom line down to the $27,121,837. So through that process, there were numerous items that were listed as potential value engineering items for the board to consider, to accept as part of the negotiations, and staff is recommending of that. And so at this time, I'm here to answer any questions you may have on any of the data that's been presented to you.
Questions? I'm trying to find it where, oh yeah. The alternate 13 is a credit to remove the dish machine from the kitchen. I know we use paper products and such in the cafeteria. But how is that going to be beneficial to the workers to remove that?
A lot of the equipment that's used also needs to be washed in compartmentalized sinks within the kitchen. Not everything can go through the dish machine. Also, that is an item that as the project progresses later on, should we find we're able to achieve any additional savings, that's something we could purchase later through the FF&E process at any time. So the provision's going to be there for one to be added, and we're just going to see if we can accomplish that before the project's completed.
Thank you.
If I might, Madam Chair, John, if I might, I think it's important to note that when we make the recommendation to the board for its action, we've got to do so with a balanced budget. That does not prohibit any of these alternates from coming back in if we start to experience costs that run behind schedule. So we have to, on paper, show what we're willing to let go of in order to make sure we stay within budget.
John, I just have one request. After we approve this, would you be able to revise this to reflect what we're actually doing in the budget? Appreciate it. Thank you, so we know exactly
We'll
what
update
happened.
that and post it.
Thank you.
And if you do the same for the other schools as well.
Will do.
Are there any other questions or comments? I almost can't bring myself to, I'm so excited about this moment. I know we've been waiting for months, years actually. Let's be real here, years for this opportunity to be able to put this contract out to bid, and now we're at a position to actually award a contract for a new school in Aberdeen. I know I have to kind of relish this moment a little bit, especially with all the work that was done over the spring in terms of the bond campaign and the commissioners working with us on the campaign, and to really educate the public about what this campaign will mean for Moore County schools and for Aberdeen. So with that as an
Would you like a motion, Madam Chair?
Yes, I would like a motion.
I'd like to, the superintendent recommends a motion to approve the award of bid for the construction of a new Aberdeen Elementary to J.M. Thompson Company, consisting of the noted alternates and value engineering items in the amount of $27,121,837.
So moved.
Second.
Before I call for a vote, may I ask that we, instead of saying yay or aye, say yes? Are we allowed to do that?
We can do whatever you want to. Almost.
And the reason I ask that is that a reminder of our campaign to allow for the 80% of the public said yes in May for this. And so I'd like us to use the same words to approve this particular first project on this bond referendum. So all in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Just checking. Motion carries 6-0. And I would be remiss if I did not thank every single voter out there that helped with this, and every single person that made a comment either on a Facebook post or made a phone call or accepted a phone call. But it was the voters that really got us to where we are today, so many thanks.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask John, I know the dates are in there, but what are the dates now after this is approved? You had 3 dates in there, just so the public will know, get a good idea how fast this is going to happen.
Approximates.
Approximately.
The approximate is the official notice to proceed for the work will be about mid-September. So then we're looking at groundbreaking in about middle fall, later fall, so about towards the end of October when we get all the big yellow earth moving equipment out there. And so you're looking about a 16 to 18 month construction process, so the facility will be ready for the 2020 school year.
And approximate target date for completion is about January, February for this one.
2020.
It'll be Southern Pines that's going to push it a little bit into late spring.
Correct.
Thanks, John.
But effectively, John, I'd say the good news is that if we're going to have groundbreaking in late October, roughly late October, but that means we're actually got machines on site moving dirt for about 2 or 3 weeks in advance of that. So we're looking at about 2nd or 3rd week of October where we're starting to push dirt in anticipation of groundbreaking. And then if you go out from there about 6 months, then that building towards the end of the school, about March, April, will start looking like the Area 1 school's looking now. So it'd be about March.
The same timeline.
About March, your Aberdeen school will start looking like the Area 1 school looks now. And by then, we'll be rolling out Southern Pines Elementary School. So
Should be under construction by then too.
this is fun. This is fun to talk about.
Yeah,
It's been a great meeting.
Yeah, if we keep going, Lewis Gregory's smile is going to just push his ears right off the side of his head.
And I will say we couldn't have done it without the commissioners and their
that.
support. So thank you for being here, Mr. Gregory. We've never done that before. Shall we allow?
I move to add comments by Mr. Gregory to the agenda.
Come on up.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we can do that.
Come on up, Mr. Gregory. You're going to need a
It
microphone, though.
It says board comments. You could have a school board member defer
I
their
defer.
comments.
Well, we didn't say what board.
It didn't say what board. It just says board comments.
There is a limit, though.
Obviously, I had not planned on commenting today. I usually just get in the back row and listen, but today is a historical day. And I'm so pleased that it was my time to be here to represent our commissioners. I look at the yes, and yes, we worked very hard. And so I've scribbled down a few things that I would like to say. We are about to begin our new year. And it is comforting for me to know that we have administrators, board members, and teachers who will be providing our students an opportunity to obtain the best education possible, no matter where they live in Moore County. And this did not come easy. We worked very hard, and I am so very pleased that we worked hard together. I would like to say that in my time that I've been on the commission, I can say to you truthfully that this board and the teachers that I have met are very passionate about the students that they have to be able to teach, and these students will be the future of our nation. So I wish you the very best. Thank you very much for giving me a short period of time to be able to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for all that you do for the students of our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. All right, board member comments.
Well, my comment, Lewis, was to recognize your role in bringing us to a construction contract for a new school in Aberdeen, and that this reflects the close cooperation between the commissioners and the school board over a long period of time. And Lewis Gregory was a key member of the commissioners to make this a reality. So thank you very much.
I just want to welcome all our new employees because had new teacher orientation last week, and they continue to come, and I'm excited to see them. And welcome back all our current employees. It's good to see everybody back and so enthusiastic. Just to remind everybody that professional development, where's Bridget, starts the 15th, Wednesday. So if you haven't signed up, you need to do it now. They've got lots of wonderful activities. I went in and it looked absolutely great. I wish that more school districts, I hope they take our lead. So thank you for all the work that y'all have done.
And I want to say thank you to everyone for getting prepared for our 13,000 kids coming in a few weeks. And I'd like to make a special comment about the summer commencement exercise at Carthage Elementary School. We had 18 students receive a high school diploma at summer graduation, and it was not easy for these kids. If you knew what they went through and what they've gone through and the sacrifices they've had to make and the decisions they've had to make to get to this point, to graduate from high school, it's absolutely amazing. And to put it in perspective, what it means for the district, those 18 students graduating will raise our graduation rate for Moore County by 1.8%, which is a significant number. So I appreciate them and thank them and congratulate them on what they accomplished.
Anything from you?
I wanted to take a moment to thank our board children, Will Miller, who was here tonight, and Evie Miller and Peyton Caldwell, who were here last month, who gave up some of their summer vacation to be here. It's hard to get students during the summer to come in and lead the pledge and do a moment of inspiration, so we certainly appreciated them coming, and their dads who got here with them and had them on time. I want us to also encourage us to stop and remember that these months out of school are not truly a vacation for every child. Your pink shirt's got me teared up. For every child in Moore County, there are many children who've spent this summer working, babysitting for siblings, or being very alone and unsupervised. These are children who are hungry or hot or sick, and for these children, being in school is a much more pleasant way to spend a day. So let's gather up our people in Moore County. Let's bring back together our Moore County family. Bless our teachers and staff as they return to school, and wish for every student and every teacher a very safe and productive year. And I'm so sorry you started us off.
Let's go do it right now.
And I do want to make note, Dr. Bob is in his sensitive shirt tonight, wearing a pink tie. He said he doesn't get to do this very often because he's usually sporting school colors, but we're proud of him making that approach. Oh, thank you, Ed.
And I have to follow that. Great. I should have went after before you. Yes. Actually, I have a few things to say. Just, I'm excited about Friday going with Bruce. We're going to go see the new Area 1 school, and that's very exciting. And that's our first time going to see it. So I'm super excited about that. And I know my daughter is very jealous on that because she wanted to go, and I said, put the X on it. But other than that, I went to today. They had a new student orientation at Vast Lakeview. I got to visit there, and it went wonderfully. And I hope every school does this, and I know a lot of them do. I just couldn't believe the volume of information that those parents got. They got Peyton even helped out on that, but they even walked around the school and showed everyone where everything was, the bathrooms to the library, and the parents really enjoyed it. They got a little packet of information. It was just a really great morning, and my hat's off to Lisa on that because it went really smoothly. What else? There was another thing I wanted to, and I'm very jealous, and I'm looking at Meg and Karina. I know you two personally, but I'm jealous of you guys getting the school started because that was my favorite time of the year, getting your classroom organized, waiting for those little kiddos with their name tags, and now that you get to incorporate play, and it's just, I know, I'm very jealous. So I will be taking you guys up on that offer on coming to play and visit, and you might get sick of me, so I'm sorry about that. And that's really all. I'm very, very excited about this school year. I think, and I don't think I'd ever see the day of us actually having all these schools being built. And it just makes me very proud to be a Moore County employee, be have taught at Moore County. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience to witness this, and makes me proud that we're actually getting it done. Finally, getting it done. So that's it. That's all I got.
Well, there isn't really much more to say than that. I did want to mention, for those of you that were paying attention to the Board of Commissioners meeting last week, they approved a resolution also to put the bond out for the Aberdeen Elementary School project, which was also a very big deal. It's exciting to see all of these pieces come together. So we're excited to sign the contract, and now the bond, the funding going out for it through the bond, general obligation bond. And one other thing I will say, I know you alluded to it on the 1/4 cent sales tax. That is something that we've been talking about with the commissioners, and we're hoping to have this dialogue with the community about how that's going to be helping the schools in the future. The commissioners passed a resolution last week as well that the local option sales tax, the 1/4 cent sales tax, all of those proceeds would go to school capital projects, which is important because in addition to the schools that are being built through the bond, there are other needs that we have here in Moore County in terms of schools that are being built without the bond, in schools that need some repair. So anything that we can do to support the commissioners is my personal view, to encourage the fact that we need additional resources for the schools to be able to do all the things that we want to do. I'd like to support them. So I'd like to, at our next board meeting, maybe consider a resolution ourselves to pass, to think about that if we want to pass one to support the commissioners and our efforts for the 1/4 cent sales tax increase. So something to think about over the next few weeks. All right, I think that's it. We've had a exciting start to the school year. We're ready for the next 2 weeks, and I want to thank all the staff for all their hard work. Is there anything else on the agenda? Because I've been known to close things without there still being stuff on the agenda.
The administration rests.
Your administration rests.
Move the meeting be adjourned.
Is there a second? Second. All right, Mr. Dennison moved the meeting be adjourned. Dr. Wells Brown seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.